Hi everyone, it's so lovely to see so many awesome women online today. It's very inspiring actually.
All right, take it away.
Okay, lovely. All right, so first of all, I'd just like to remind everyone, and for those that have just joined us, that today's session will be recorded. So please feel free to participate, say what you would like to say, and if there's anything out of today's session that you would not like to be recorded and shared with the wider audience, for those that have registered, please let Lynn know and we can have that edited out. So again, thank you for joining us today. The event is intentioned to leave you with new knowledge, influential connections, great conversation and ideas. So just before we start, a few housekeeping rules. If you can please ensure that you mute yourself throughout the duration of the event, just so we don't hear any background noise. So for those that are unsure how to mute, it's just the microphone down in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Please have your camera on. We love to see everyone's smiley faces and just a great way to connect. Have your workbooks ready to go, so when we do jump across into just a session that we can kind of delve straight into that. The chat box there as well, which is again at the bottom of the screen there. Please feel free to add your thoughts, feelings, reflections. It's a great way to engage. But of course, as Jess mentioned before, if you do have something you want to say, please just jump in and let us know. BWA is a collective that celebrates diversity and inclusiveness, so please be respectful and considerate of others. So before we start, I would like to say that we acknowledge that we are meeting on sacred and sovereign Indigenous land that has been lived, danced and celebrated on for over 120,000 continuous years. We pay our respects to all Indigenous elders, past, present and emerging. We celebrate our Indigenous sisters in business. And I would like to acknowledge the Dharawal people whose land I sit on today, here in the Camden Shire of New South Wales. So before we really get kicked off, I'd just like to take an opportunity to introduce myself. So some of you may know that my name is Kylie Clark and I am one of the co-directors of event technology and event management consultancy startup Avise. My business has been in operation for just coming up to 2 years in April, and I've been a member of BWA for 6 months, having attended my very first BWA event in July of 2020. So last year, in the midst of COVID, I was searching for a business group that I could join and reach out to as part of a community to bounce ideas off and discuss the pearls and pitfalls of running your own business. When I joined that Friday free fall with Lynn, I still remember that quite vividly. BWA really resonated with me because after attending my very first online event, it was really evident that BWA's values and ethos wasn't just lip service, but it was very much alive and evident in the leadership team and the members who were online that day. What I love most about this national collective of women is its inclusiveness. The fact that you get to tap into the brilliant minds that are full of knowledge and experience. However, on the flip side, there's an absolute space for emerging leaders in business and women who are starting out in their careers. The sharing of experiences and knowledge throughout the collective is one of its unique points of difference, I feel. As you can see, there's a number of areas of development through BWA, and this is really the focus and the core kind of, fundamentals of what BWA is all about. When we make female leaders visible to the wider community, it's not only inspiring others, it places women in a stronger position of influence throughout the community. BWA really does have shared values and at the core of what it connects us together. And it's demonstrated by our behaviour. Earlier, I spoke about these values being so evident in the very first online event I attended. And one of the other values, which isn't listed here, but I feel very much is really what makes up BWA is its authenticity. I feel the members are extremely authentic, and that very much resonated with me. And the discussions and the intentions of BWA is all coming from, you know, a very true and proud place. So as you can see, there are many benefits to joining BWA, either as a classic or a premium member, which I can talk a little bit more about later on today. And, you know, some of these are outlined above. And what I'm going to talk about a little bit more now in detail is the BWA and Torrens University collaboration. So the partnership with Torrens University and BWA is a very special one. All of the financial members of BWA get access to these online courses at no cost. So essentially, you become a financial member, you get to tap into these courses. There are over 40 of these on-demand online short courses, and having completed several of these myself, I you know, absolutely kind of can attest to the fact that you can really upskill yourself across a really diverse and wide-ranging kind of different areas of topics. So in addition to these short courses, BWA and Torrens offer a 100% scholarship to a BWA member to complete tertiary education, whether that be a diploma, a degree, or master's. So whatever level of study that you're interested in. I was fortunate enough to be the successful recipient of the inaugural 100% scholarship in 2020, and I'm actually now in the midst of completing my MBA, and I'm just about to dive into my second trimester of study, which kicks off next month. And I do like to say study trimester because mostly universities call their study periods semesters, so it's definitely not pregnancy related, it's referring to my studies. So expressions of interest are open now for the full scholarship. And the other great opportunity is for those that do apply for the full scholarship, there's 15% scholarships available for all applicants. So that's, you know, in itself a fantastic opportunity. So please, if you're interested in applying for this scholarship, jump online and register your interest. And Jessica, who is our TUA advisor, she'll get in contact with you and she can talk further to you about the level of study that you're looking at and the type of degree or qualification that you're looking at, and we'll really walk you through that whole process as well. So without our partners, we would not be able to run, you know, the events and opportunities that we have through BWA, and, you know, really support the success of women in business throughout Australia and you know, internationally as well. And BWA is a great brand and collective of women to partner with. So if you're keen to have your brand listed here, to be a patron, a partner, or a collaborator of BWA, please feel free to get in touch, and Lynn can talk to you more about those opportunities. So as I mentioned, I'll talk a little bit further later on about the events that we have coming up and how you can join to become a BWA member. But for now, I will hand over to Jessica so she can get us started with our Reset 2021 event. Thank you.
Carly, thank you so much for the introduction. I know there are a lot of you are members with BWA, but we have a lot of non-members who have registered and who are here today as well. And I know that we've got men and women registered and an international audience. So whilst not everyone is here yet, there are still people dialing in, and of course it's recorded as well. So welcome everyone. I'm so excited to see you all here. It's the first event for me at BWA this year, after a very tumultuous last year. And with the number of registrants and people showing up, I think we really nailed the topic. I've never talked to that many people, leaders and women in business, who really wanted to be done with 2020 and have a really good start in 2021, because it's been hard. And I think reflection and then resetting and then planning, you know, putting a process to it really resonates with all of you, which is great. I'm just going to share my screen and start. I'm going to do a quick intro first, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I really want you to get a lot of value out of this and be able to work and start working on your plans. But very briefly, a snapshot. As you can probably tell from my accent and my last name, I'm from Germany originally, but I haven't lived there for over 20 years. The travel bug got me really early after a year in Australia after high school. I've now actually been living and working in New Zealand, in Sydney, in Melbourne, 6 years in Hong Kong and in Tokyo, and I've been back here in Melbourne for 4 years, and I've made Melbourne my home. But I work internationally across borders almost every day. I have a corporate background. I used to sell service office space and led large corporate teams in that space all across Asia and all across the world. And what I really liked most about the job was working with people, helping people to realize their potential and be the leader they wanted to be, and really pull out all those stops that held them back from being as successful, whatever success means be for them. So 7 years ago, I started my full-time career as a leadership coach, and I work with leaders in organizations, in small to medium-sized businesses and large organizations. And I help them to be able to create workplace cultures where their own people and their teams are happy and productive. And I do this through one-on-one coaching, webinars, workshops online and in-house, and team coaching as well. And if you don't find me in front of a screen or in front of people, you probably find me in the surf. So I'm someone who loves the outdoors. I love going surfing, running. I used to skydive as well, but I just love the elements, and it's something I connect really well to. And that's what I struggled with last year, that I couldn't have that freedom to get out. Today, in the next 40 or so minutes, we're going to do a quick check-in. Then we're going to do the reflection on 2020, and you're going to go into breakout rooms and really talk about what you got from last year. So it sets the foundation for your planning for this year. I'm going to talk about mindset and how to set goals, because setting that foundation and learning how to do that well is going to help you to set yourself up for success. And then we're going to take a few minutes, and you're going to create at least one goal for yourself that we are going to hold you accountable for. How does that sound? All good? All right, let's do a quick check-in. And what I want you to do is I want you to use the chat box, and I just want you to give us one word. How are you feeling about 2020? It's just a bit of a temperature check in the room. And I'm going to just read out as it comes through. How are you feeling about 2020? So we've got Michelle is excited, Sky's motivated, we've got optimistic, Marianne apprehensive, and I totally get that. Grateful for family health. We've got, again, excited, optimistic. There's an opportunity from Jody. Helen is excited. If I would write mine, I am cautiously excited. Yeah, excited, optimistic. Yeah, so a lot of excitement and optimism, which is fantastic. But I also remember that I was really excited and optimistic about 2020 when we started. And then obviously that went sort of a bit sideways. And I think what we have to remember is that 2021 will still be full of challenges, but I think we have a little bit of an idea of what's about to come because we know what it feels like. But it's still important to look back and really think about what happened in 2020 and how it impacted me. And that's why I sent you those questions. Because, and I love this quote from Vivian, I discovered that a fresh start is a process. A fresh start is a journey that requires a plan. Because if we don't look back and we don't take with us what we learned, what we don't want to do anymore, but also what we want to keep, because there was a lot of silver lining, then it's much harder to set ourselves goals that really connect with our values. And that's what happened in 2020. So let's do a quick snapshot, and I'm not going to go too deep, but what happened in 2020? Well, this guy arrived, and look, I know a lot of other things happened. Yeah, I don't dismiss that we had, bushfires, and that we had political situations all over the world, and personal situations as well. But COVID dominated everything. We had to stay at home, and that was hard for a lot of people. Not having that freedom to do what you want to do. Planes and airports and train stations pretty much look like that. There was very little travel. And I said to a friend of mine, I think one of the biggest issues for me was that there was nothing to look forward to, especially in countries and in cities. I know that a lot of you from all over Australia, but Melbourne was hit very hard, man, right? Like we were in lockdown for 4 months. There was nothing to plan and look forward to. And our brains and human beings really want to do that. And now, since we can plan into the future again, it's much easier. So we're all forced into lockdown. And with that, as you know, as the lockdown starts, we saw a lot of that stuff. And how sad was that? But did you get caught up in that? Well, I actually got caught up in that a little bit myself. And then this became the norm. Now we communicate with people in small windows, and we still do today. Yeah, it's what we're doing right now. This was also normal, not that we necessarily sat there with our mask in front of a computer, but you know, life and work seeped into everything. And I found when we were working from home, especially in a lockdown, for me, work seeped into everything and there was no boundaries. What I found was, in a lot of my clients and my connections said as well, I now work where I live, and I feel like I live where I work. And a big lesson was to be able to set boundaries. Again, for a lot of people, 2021 will still be remote, yeah, and we have to be able to set those boundaries. And this is a norm for a lot of people as well. How challenging to school your kids at home over large periods of time. And also kudos and hat, I tip my hat for all the children. We never mention that, right? We always praise the parents. I think the children have done extremely well in this period. But there also were silver linings, or, you know, you see this lady here, I think, you know, one of the biggest challenges really was, when you sum it up, was the isolation. Yeah, a disconnect, a fear of uncertainty. We did not know what happened, and it really shook us to the core. And it was something really new. And I want you to be able to take the silver linings out of it, because there were silver linings. I loved how we really created a new value and appreciation for our healthcare workers and workforce. How we embrace technology. Imagine this would have happened 20 years ago, and we didn't have mobile phones and the internet to be able to connect. And we've done this really well. I think my biggest learning in terms of skills, because I shifted my whole business online, was, okay, so how do I connect with people online? How do you use the camera? How do I still listen and connect on a deeper level while there is video and a camera in between us? And people have done an amazing job in that. And socially, actually. So this is a real photo. This is me up on top. And these are 5 of my best girlfriends in Germany. We're Kris Kringling here. So we posted our Kris Kringles from Australia to Germany back and forth. And we had a 3.5-hour session. I have talked to these girls more than I would usually do. And that's a silver lining for me, that we connected on a much, much deeper level. And I know a lot of you have as well. And with the lack of travel, we've also seen that our environment got a little tiny break. Not enough, but there was a tiny break. What I find, and I'm interested to hear if you found the same as well, when we are in this mode of crisis, people connect with their deep values very quickly. And that was a silver lining for me, where I got to know people on a deeper level very quickly. And all of a sudden, we appreciate the small things. Yeah, we go to the bottom of the iceberg very quickly when we don't have, you know, the freedom to plan and, you know, live our normal lives. So definitely a silver lining there. I've also seen a lot of people to really push themselves and think outside the box. My business shifted digital straight away. The first online session I had was with Lynn. We were meant to be at WeWork in the city doing a session on networking, and we just pulled it online within a weekend and was the first one we facilitated, one of many. The silver lining is that we can work with all of you across Australia now, because we know what we're doing, and we're doing this really well. And so many businesses have done this. Yeah, shifting from something that was crumbled to something that flies. Yeah, the shift of services, still being able to help clients. I've seen phenomenal innovation, and how amazing were you know, our research workers around the world to bring you know, the COVID vaccine, which is a little bit a light at the end of the tunnel for us as well, that is there to come. So lots of silver linings for many people, and I want you to be able to think about what were those, and what, you know, what really helped you. So let's look back at your 2020. I'll bring up the 10 questions again. I know a lot of you have actually worked on your workbook and you thought about these, but here are the questions again, and I had popped them in the chat as well. I'm just going to check the chat here. Okay. So have a think about, you're just about to go into a breakout room and you're not going to share all of these 10 questions. But what we're going to do is Carly will put you in a breakout room with 2 other people. And I want you to share, you have 10 minutes. Answer 2 questions. What is your biggest learning from 2020? And what will you take into, or what will you keep into 2021? Share those 2. Right, 17, I think I have 17. Wonderful. Thanks for coming back. How did the conversations go? I would like 2 or 3 people to volunteer and share their biggest learning and what they want to keep. Who's going to volunteer? And you know, if no one volunteers, I will volunteer people. Kathy. Thanks for volunteering.
That's okay. So our group was very much similar, that we all said that the things that we really want to keep, and we found out this year, was community. Everybody was actually genuinely worried about everybody else, getting in touch, seeing how they were, and actually picking up the phone as opposed to just text and emails. The community actual real contact was really big last year, and that's what we all collectively said we would like to bring into this year as well.
And why did you choose that for yourself, Kathy? When you look at your personal and your work life, why is that important to you?
Well, because I work in communications, I'm a digital marketer, so communications is my business anyway. And I'm just finding that people are really wanting that human touch. Even though we've all gone digital and we're all online, they still want to know that you're actually there at the end of the phone if they need you.
Yes. Isn't it interesting how we've gone from, we've been, we're connected so much in the last few years through the digital transformation, yet, we're disconnected in a social way. And, how a crisis brings that together. It's connecting with that value, because community sits in the values, part of your being, right? So I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I think it's really good to have that front and center, even when you think about what goals you set for yourself and for your business or your team or your organization. So wonderful. Thank you. Who else would like to share? A couple more.
I'll share.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So one of the resonating themes in our group was keeping a positive mindset and maintaining resilience. I think we all had setbacks in all the plans that we had made, both personally and professionally, but I think ultimately it was just about going, okay, even if this is happening, I'm not going to let this affect me too much, and allow myself to keep an elevation in our mindset so that we can start to allow for the things we want to come, but in a different way. So I think a lot of us experienced a lot of digital sort of connections that we wouldn't have experienced. It's more, all our work was face to face, but we connected through the digital platform with a lot more people than we thought we would, because we kept that elevation. So yeah.
Amazing. And you've given me an amazing segue, but I'm just going to ask someone else to share as well, because I'm going to talk about mindset a little bit. Again, something that we should really do before we go into, writing down goals. So yes. I'm really glad to hear that your group, wants to focus on that. And just one more to share. Yeah, Pauline?
I think that the main theme for us was having something, or being forced into change and having something we can move into, and being resilient enough to just go, it needs to change, things need to change. So finding things that were, for me, certainly outside work. So being a director of a big art event, but also, and Jay was talking about finding something to volunteer into, like finding a way to share what we've got, and it doesn't all have to be about business. And Michelle was, like everything sort of fell apart, but I like this resilience of being able to put things back together in a new and different way that is much more honoring of yourself as a person and what you can do, and not feeling so I have to do this all by myself, but relying on other people and community, and just interesting things that we are capable of doing that we probably didn't know we could do until we're forced into doing it.
Yeah, there's a real element of that clarity and new skills that emerged out of last year, right? For me, it was certainly, you know, the community. What struck me the most and what affected me the most was that I had no idea really what resilience was. I always said, I'm a resilient person, yeah, from my background as a child, what happened in personal life. And what I found in, you know, sort of April, May, as we're going through the thick of it, I wasn't doing well. I wasn't sleeping well. I was living in my head and I couldn't turn it around. And I said to myself, what's happening here? I'm a resilient person. And, you know, I did some research and I did some courses like this to learn that resilience is not universal. It's not about if you have resilience or you don't have resilience. You know, originally resilience comes from an engineering term, but resilience is systemic. And what it really means is to, you know, find out where you need resilience and what kind of resilience, and then tap into a resource that helps you with being resilient. And Pauline, what you said, that it's not always just work and we're not by ourselves. It's asking for help. It's doing something different. And for me, it was setting boundaries. Yeah. Also looking at progress, being able to reframe stories. Yeah. There were a lot of different ways, but little small things that I did that then made me bounce back and I felt good again and I wasn't so anxious. So a huge learning curve. Yeah. But if we don't think about it intentionally and we don't talk about it and share it in a room and a group like this, it's very hard to take it with us. And I think it's so important because then it builds, you know, your capability and your ability to plan for a better future. You know, if we never look back and what we learned, how can we go forward? And you gave me Anjali or Anjali, I hopefully say that your name right.
Anjali, yeah, Anjali, yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You gave me the perfect segue into a couple of things or three parts that have to do with the mind and mindset I want to talk about before we go actually into, you know, how to set goals, because it all starts with mindset. And thank you for giving me that segue. And we talk about a growth mindset. So mindset is really, you know, with what approach, you know, how we approach, say, a situation or an interaction. And the kind of mindset and the way we approach things have a direct impact on the outcome of that interaction or that situation. And some of you might know the growth and the fixed mindset. There's a lot of research to be done. There has been a lot of research done, and a psychologist called Carol Dweck has published a book and really publicized the growth mindset. And the growth mindset is the belief that our qualities are changeable and can grow. Yeah, the opposite would be a fixed mindset where we think that our talents and our qualities are innate and either you have them, either you're sporty or you're not, you're arty or you're not, and it can't be learned. A growth mindset means we can learn everything and anything if we put our mind to it. And she gives a lot of great examples out of the sports industry, school, and business. And it's a really good, I really recommend Carol Dweck's book. I'll pop it in the chat later on. If you want to know more about growth mindset and how it connects to you and, you know, how it can help you. So one thing I really encourage you to do for 2021 is adopt a growth mindset as much as you can. And what that means is part of a growth mindset is looking at what we've learned. Yeah, that's why I made you to look back at 2020 and keep on learning in that way. So if there's something that feels like failure, don't see it as a failure, see it as a lesson. Yeah. In a fixed mindset, we see failure as a failure and we usually blame other people. And it happens in schools as well. In a growth mindset, we just said, okay, what did you just learn from that? It could be a relationship. It could be a conversation. It could be a business deal. Talent is not innate, yeah, and with that we can really grow a curious mind, and I'll talk about this just in a little bit, and also enjoy the journey. So when you learn and when you look at, I know there are a lot of women in here who run their own businesses, what does success look like for you? Is it about, you know, achieving financial goals? And I'm not saying that they're not important. Yeah. When you learn, is it about getting a title? Yeah. Carly's just doing her MBA. Is it about getting the MBA or is it about learning on the journey? And we know that learners, especially pupils with a growth mindset, learn because they like and own the process of learning, not because they need to pass a test. So have a think about when you set your goals, what kind of growth mindset will help you to enjoy the process of getting there rather than just looking at the goal, because it can be really, really disconcerting, especially when you're a startup business as well. So apply a growth mindset and have a curious mindset. Yeah, be curious. What do you want to know, what you don't know yet? An openness to learn. I know a lot of people jumped on courses, tertiary education, webinars like this, you know, lots of different learnings from, you know, not only BWA and Torrens, although, you know, we've really embraced that as well. In all corners of the world, there's a lot to offer, but be really selective what helps you. So connect back to what you want to keep in 2021 and what kind of curiosity and learning will help you. Challenge yourself as well. Being curious is also about challenging yourself and challenge others. So challenge the status quo. Don't believe everything that's, you know, offered. Don't buy into everything. Be really selective and be curious with intention. And the last one, and we're going to do an exercise on this right now, is dream big. Yeah, before you set any goals, what I find is when I sit with leaders and we look at setting goals for the next year, it very often looks too much like a to-do list. Yeah, before you get really focused and you narrow down your goals, dream big first. It doesn't mean that that's your goal, but have a think about what you want the next year to look like. Where do you want to be? What are you doing? What does it feel like, taste like? Yeah, even if you don't think it's achievable, it's important to dream big first. And that's what I encourage you to do. So 3 mindsets of growth mindset, a curious mindset, and dream big. Because here's the thing, and I love Steve Garvey always, but I love this one. You have to set goals that are almost out of reach. If you set a goal that is attainable without much work or thought, you're stuck with something below your true talent and potential. Yeah. So if you want to, you know, reach your potential and really make a change, think in that way. When we go through the planning process, how to set goals, yeah, the envision is the dream big part. Yeah. So we've done reflection. Yeah, just talked about it, and keep on reflecting throughout the year. But we're going to do the envision part now before we go back to the effective goal setting, which is a process that I've put together. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about your big word for 2021. Now, what do I mean by big word? By big word, I mean a word which creates a lens that you see the world through. Yeah. And I'm going to give you an example so you know more what I mean. So mine, and this is just for my business, is supercharge. And supercharge for me means that I put more effort into the solutions for my clients, yeah, and outsource more of the operation and the nitty-gritty stuff, yeah. But that's not my big word. Really shows supercharge, where I get really clear. I want to achieve big outcomes for myself and my clients. Yeah. It could be your super word, could be, you know, connect. It could be community. It could be elevate. Yeah. Think about a word that is your big word. And I want you to write that very big on the front of everything and have that front and center. If you change it, it's no problem. But the clearer you are on your big word, the better. And I'm going to get you to put that in the chat box and I'm going to read them out. So we already have Marianne when transformation. Wonderful. Great. I love it. Kylie is thriving. Yes. And I know your story from last year, how you've changed, you know, your business model. Now you want it to thrive, which is amazing. Sky, grow. Wonderful. Sue Daly, collaboration. Very interesting. Collaborations again have been you know, so vital from last year. So if you want to take that into this year, amazing. Tammy, enable. Yeah, great. Jody, progress. Yeah, fantastic. Progress. If you see everything as a progress, not as the end goal. Pauline Bright, lift. Love it. And I've had another leader who has lift as well. Yeah, and then you can go into the nitty gritty later. Jackie Wolford, elevate. Yes. Again, one of my coaching friends has Elevate and has done some really amazing stuff with that. Like she's written programs on the back of Elevate, which is amazing. What else have we got? Just another minute or so. Yeah, so think about your big word, but have it also written big. I've literally have it on 2 of my flip charts where I've started, you know, my planning. So we've got support there. So keep on writing your big word, but I also want to carry on because I really want to get to the goal setting part. So I'm going to leave this here. So for Jay, it's people. Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it, Jay. It's really good. Hold on. I'm just going to keep the chat open here, but I will carry on as well. Can I steal Jackie's? Of course, but ask for permission. And Nikki, strategic. A lot of us will have the same big words, yeah, and it's not about being right or wrong, yeah. All of these exercises is about reflection and building something that just has more bones than if you'd sit and write, you know, a simple goals list, yeah. So looking back at effective goal setting, yeah, we have done the reflection part. We've envisioned now with you know, a big word, and you can go even bigger. So if you work with your coach or your mentor on goal setting, yeah, then flesh this out a lot more. We are going to go into goal setting just in a minute as well, but I just want to talk about a little bit about planning as well. The planning part comes after the goal setting, but don't mix those two up. Planning really is about, once you've set your goals, it's sort of your practical step of creating the next steps, yeah? And there always should be steps that you're actually committing to, yeah? Because goals written down are amazing, yeah? But if you don't put them into plans and you don't commit, they always stay on your flip chart or on your piece of paper, yeah? So when you leave today, your next step is, okay, how I'm gonna do it, yeah? And it's about committing. So whatever that means to you, some people just need to write it down. Thanks, Sue, we'll see you later. Some people need to write it down. Some people need to share it with their coach to be accountable. Some people put it into, you know, their calendar. So it's about, you know, if you don't have a piece of paper or a calendar or a system in front of you, there's probably something missing. Yeah, it can't live in your head. And think about how you can commit to it. Quite often, and I find myself, if I'm not held accountable, it's really easy to drop it. And I know there's at least one person in this group who's done this last year in a different program. They became accountability buddies about a certain goal they both wanted to reach. It was the same goal, and really held each other accountable and called you like, have you done this? Have you outsourced this? So find people who will hold you accountable. Also, of course, schedule, book, yeah? And think about when, you think about your goals, do you actually have the skills, or do you need to work on your skills and get the skills? So do you need to take a course, for example? Yeah. And then book in for that course as well. And then the accountability part. So your plan looks very different from your goals. Yeah. It's sort of the, you know, your working plan. And adapt. Love how one of you said before, actually it's about staying adaptable. I think it was you, Pauline, staying adaptable and keeping up that that skill of being able to change if and when we need to. And I think that's one of the skills that came out of 2020 for me and for the leaders I work with, that nothing will stay the same. 2021 will still be full of changes. Yeah, either things will take longer or they will change, you know, at a short notice as well for us or for our clients. And adaptability is one of the skills for the future of work, but also post-crisis. Yeah. So make sure that when you achieve your goals and you plan, that the plans and the goals are adaptable. Your reflection and your envisioning is done. Yeah, you can always go back, connect back to that. There's no problem with reframing your goals and changing your plan. Actually, it's a really good thing. Yeah, but be open to adapt. Nothing is set in stone. Yeah, but once you've done a really good job on reflecting and envisioning, this becomes much easier. Yeah, because you can adapt, go back to goals and plan again. So let's look at how to set goals. And I really just have a few tips there. And please share if you've got other tips. It's not that I sit here and know it all, but here are my setting goal tips. So now that you have your big word and your big envisioning and your dream, what you want your year to look like, break it down and be specific. When we coach, goal setting is part of a model that's called the GROW model. And it really helps, not that we always use it, but we use it often. And the part of goal setting where we become specific, what's interesting is that the more specific the goal, the more likely it is for you to achieve it. That doesn't mean that it has to be easy and, you know, just moderate, but your goal should be, so it shouldn't be easy, but it should be specific. It should be hard, but specific. So when you word your goal, make sure it's not wishy-washy, that you know exactly what it means. Keep it simple, less is more. And what I mean by that is quite often we have a ton of goals. So I started writing down my goals and I've got about 12 here. Yeah. And I actually just put them in a list, in a priority list, and I scratched the last 8. I have 4 goals here. And if those are the goals that I achieve for 2021, I'm happy. If you just have one goal that you achieve, if that's the goal that you know that makes you happy and that connects back to your vision, your big word, and what you want to achieve, then that's good enough. Yeah. Soon enough, you'll notice that you probably create another goal, but don't be overwhelmed by a list of goals right in January or February. What skills does it require? Could that be your goal? And what I mean by that, it's that process of breaking down. So I'm going to share with you what sort of one of my goals is. And one of my big goals is to write a book this year. Not only my business manager tells me to write a book. No, there's one person in here who loves hearing this, Beth, because I'm going to have to learn how to write a book. And when I looked at, okay, I don't actually know how to write a book. I need to do the, I need to get the skills. So what I've done is I've signed up for a book writing course mid this year, and it takes me through the process. Yeah. So my goal is actually not to write a book. My goal is to learn to write a book. So have a think about when you look at your goal, might actually be learning the skill to achieve that goal, be your goal. Because what you'll find is, what I find is that I'm a lot more relaxed. Yeah, the pressure itself, because learning the skill, easy, because I just booked the course and I know it's with a good teacher, so I'll be learning it. Yeah. So again, revise and review your goal. And of course, there's nothing wrong with SMART goals. Yeah. I know this is, something that you've all heard before. Yeah. So SMART goals, there should be SMART obviously stands for a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely goal. And then, followed up by evaluate the goal. Yeah. And readjust as you need it. And I just talked about that before as well, is a really, really good way to go. So look at your goal with a lens of that as well. Now, before we go on, because I'm going to get you to think for 5 minutes and create a goal, is there anything you want to raise, you have a question about, or you want to share when it comes to goal setting? Maybe some really good insight that has helped you, or any questions? All good? Okay, so we're going to have some quiet time, and I promise you I'm going to shut up. It's just 10 past. You have 5 minutes. Think about one goal you want to achieve, and I'm going to bring up the slides so you know exactly what you're going to have to do. Boom, boom. Take 5 minutes. What is one goal? What is that goal? By when do you want to achieve it? And what is your first step? We literally have, I think, about 10 minutes left, and we want Carly just to talk about what's going on as well. Can I have a couple of volunteers again who would like to share their goal in front of everyone, just to make it really official? So Carly just said she's going to run a marathon in September. I was like, don't give me a goal like that. It's, I'm very jealous now. You've got such a big goal, but who would like to share their goal? Yeah, Michelle?
So I was just sharing in my room that I really want to connect with the community, because I've moved to a whole new area. And even though I've always done a lot in a more of an informal way for Chamber of Commerce and all those sort of things over the years with the other area that I've been in, I really want to make a deeper connection in helping those that are less fortunate or don't always see or don't know who to turn to. So my plan is to connect with the community, see what organizations are there, volunteering my time, my expertise in business. I think if there's any way that I can help women and men, but predominantly women, find a way to start up even a micro business that then gives them their own money in the bank account that can then help them, help their family, and even go on and pay it forward, so to speak, to the community. I think that's really important, because when you've got that little bit of independence and your own savings, it makes such a difference. So yes, that's what I will be doing. That's my main goal for this year. Even though business is important, I really want to connect with that community and do more with what I can do to help others.
Amazing. Michelle, I love how you've got such a strong purpose in your goal. Yeah, it's not just a business goal. Like it's not, you know, so often I see, you know, goals that, you know, sound very financial or like a to-do list. You know, yours is full of passion and, you know, a purpose. And for other people, you're like, actually, my goal is to help other people, right?
Yes.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Who would like to share as well? Yeah, Jodie?
Yep. Hi everyone. My word for 2021 is progress, and the reason why was because I put some steps in place in the downtime in 2020, and then I've kind of just stopped and not done the last step. So like a lot of people, I pivoted my business to be online during 2020, and I've done this whole course that I'd love to launch and get out there, and you know, I'm just really proud of and I'm very passionate about, and I just want it out there. But the last thing is to actually record the voice part, and I've just not done it. And it's so simple, like the course is done, I just have to record it, and I'm like, I'll just do something else, you know. So I'm just procrastinating over that. So that's why my word is progress, and the one thing I've focused on is to just record the course and get it out. So
yes, when are you going to do it, Jodie? What's your next step and when?
Well, in February, well, the kids go back to school Monday, right? So there's no more excuses. So I should be able to record it in February, test it in March, and then launch it in April. So there, I've said it, it's out there, the timeline. I have to do it.
Got it. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, see, everyone is applauding. Yeah, everyone is raising their hands, which is amazing. Wonderful. One more person to share, and you can also just share what you've learned. You can also ask us questions or just reflect on, you know, what we've just done in the last, you know, hour and a bit. So anything you want to share, either your goal or anything else, before Carly goes into sharing more BWA details. And we've just got Tammy and Michelle got chatting here on the chat, which is amazing. Thank you very much. Go on, one more person to share. What are your thoughts? Lynn, what do you have to say? I'm going to put you on the spot, Lynn.
I was actually trying to unmute, so
there you go.
Thanks for encouraging me to continue with that button. Well, for me, something that is very important in terms of experimenting, which is my big word, is experimenting in line with what the purpose of Business Women Australia is all about, which is co-creation and collaboration. So on my to-do list then, my goals are down, and that is to reach out with every single premium level member, because we have these amazing leaders across the nation, identifying with them what their big, hairy, audacious goals are, and then what we can do together with our brand in terms of BWA and what we can do to support them as leaders in our community. And that will then create a pathway for experimenting for me. So I don't have to sit back and come up with all these ideas. I can just sit back and let this wave of this incredible women's movement occur. And that'll take me to new places and new learnings. And for me, that's is my commitment to growth and development as an individual, and to experiment along the way. So yeah, I've got quite a specific kind of goal around that. So that's awesome.
Amazing. See, specific is good, Lynn. Yeah, but you're connecting it to a big word, which is experimenting. Yeah, which connects to one of the mindsets that I mentioned, which is curiosity. Yeah, experimenting, curiosity is, you know, in that sort of, you know, in that human connection there. So thank you very much for sharing. I think we have someone, yeah, Sky is jumping off, no problem at all. Thank you very much. I am mindful of time. We've got 4 minutes left. I really want Carly to share what's going on and what's coming up, because you all want to see that. So Carly, over to you. Thank you very much for you know, working with me and being, you know, and sharing so openly. I really hope the process and some of the tips have helped to set yourself up for success and at least have one goal, but also going forward so you can use that process over and over again in the new year. Thank you very much. Always feel free to reach out to me. And Carly, over to you. Thank
you. Thanks, Jess. Very mindful. I'm going to keep to time because I'm such a stickler for timekeeping. So yeah, as Lynn so eloquently put it before about reaching out to those premium members. So this really brings us into the membership of BWA as well. So there's 2 levels of membership. So there is the kind of your classic membership, where you get all of those inclusions that we spoke about earlier before in relation to having access to all the events, both the online events and those in person. And then we also have the premium membership package as well, which, as Lynn just mentioned, it's really an opportunity for you to be able to leverage your brand and your business and be able to work with the BWA collective to be able to showcase that. And so what makes it the BWA events different is that they are smaller, they are very much run by BWA members, and there's that real kind of authenticity around sharing the skills and the knowledge that we have, as seen today in Jess's presentation. And yeah, Jess, really fantastic, and yeah, really loved what we learnt today. And so we have a list of the events coming up that are hosted by BWA. So as I mentioned before, some of them are in person, and we do host a lot of online events as well. And one event that isn't actually mentioned on here, which has just been confirmed, is I will be running a face-to-face event here in Sydney. So on the 9th of March, I'm going to be putting together a LinkedIn masterclass with Lucy Bingle, and we will be delving into creating your personal brand and your business brand as well via LinkedIn. So to be really able to leverage not only you as a person, but your business as well, and really create that lead generation for 2021. So that will be held as a breakfast workshop as well. So once we have all the details fleshed out, look out for the information on your email as well as on the BWA website. So that brings us into how to connect with BWA. So there is a whole multitude of social media platforms that you can connect on. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, on Facebook. The great part as well is that you don't need to be a member to connect with BWA on these platforms as well. So please feel free to kind of go on there, see what's happening in BWA, and also kind of follow for any upcoming events. One other great thing as well is that you can also reach out to Lynn Hawkins directly as well. So she is the National Director of BWA, and I know that Lynn loves to have a chat with everyone. So if you're thinking about becoming a member of BWA, please feel free to reach out to Lynn, or if you like, just jot your details down in the chat box below and just say, yes, would love to get in touch, and we can reach out to you and send you some more details, and Lynn can have a chat with you around that. And I think I am bang on 1:30, which I'm very excited about. So just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining today. Really love that this is kind of kickstarting off 2021. I hope you take all of the learnings and ideas that from Jess's workshop today and really implement it. And I think it would be great, Jess, I mean, I'm just putting you on the spot here, but maybe we can have kind of a reconvening later on in the year, like a check-in, and say, you know, how did we go? Where are we at? What are our learnings? And potentially what do we need to readjust to make those smarter goals to kind of make sure that we reach our potential.
Sounds good.
Yeah, lovely. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining, and hope you have a really fabulous day, being morning, afternoon, wherever you may be. And we will chat to you all again soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
you.